very much. Thank you, Brockton Writers, for having me. It's an honor to be here, and I really appreciate the opportunity. The story I'm going to read from today is called The Drifting Bodega. It was published in Speculative City back in the pandemic days of 2021 or thereabouts. I'm going to give you a little setup. So it's a horror story, nothing too extreme, tiny bit of blood. Hopefully everyone's fine with that, I'm sure. Our narrator's name is Jessie Riggs. She's a struggling music student. She's like 23 years old. She is pretty awful. You'll find out. You'll see. She is well after midnight. She's wandering the streets of Toronto, or a city very much like it. She has a length of barbed wire wrapped around her fist. She's got $2 silver in her pockets. And she's following the steps of a ritual that she's found and become obsessed with online. Sort of like those kind of creepypasta kind of things. And the rumor is that if you follow the steps, you will encounter the Drifting Bodega, or it's called the Commerce Common, a burned out convenience store, where you can be given your heart's dearest wish, even if you don't know what that wish is. And that element is particularly what appeals to her. So I think that's enough setup. I'll just again proceed. I entered a recently gentrified area where bright modern facades crowded out their worn predecessors. It struck me that, no matter how lost, I always moved into ever more built-up areas of the city. I don't think I could have found the original city if I tried. Nothing was open except Mega Cup. True to character, that scuzzy chain clung to life against all odds. Mega Cup's doors will be open when the bombs fall and only roaches are left to scuttle over the ruins. Was it your brother who told us that it's a mafia front? The shop interior was dimly lit. At that hour, you could be forgiven for thinking the glass pane was a reservoir holding back that stagnant amber light. One life-sick clerk manned the register, his reflection in the window, a mocking double. He jumped when he caught sight of me, gawking like a sailor who'd seen a mermaid. I honestly felt a little bad. I considered buying something, but I remembered that coffee wasn't much better than chemical waste. Besides, I had picked up the strain again. I was headed the right way. I found myself on autopilot, my thoughts drifting to Clara. Dumpy, hard-on-her-sleeve Clara, with her big curls and goofy laugh. I wish I understood how she got in first chair over me. I wouldn't mind losing to a better musician, but you don't get the sense that Clara is a serious person. Did I tell you that she uses beta blockers for stage fright? It's sad. Those are heart pills, you're thinking, but musicians sometimes take them to manage adrenaline when they can't handle performance anxiety. They're performance enhancers, basically. I put a lot of thought into this, and I wouldn't be surprised if she started using them just to keep up with me. Looking back, it's clear that those negative emotions were drawn from me by the attendant. There was a charge in the air, a prickling I felt all through my bones. The first acrid notes of smoke irritated my throat. There was no obvious source. If anything, I had reached the heart of new development. Skyscrapers stood tall around me, near impenetrable fortresses of commerce, with mirrored facades and cryptic names. All those towers and glass. On one street corner, an enormous LED panel had been grafted to the wall of a historical, neoclassical building, a bank I saw, where a homeless man slept in the vestibule. The panel aired endless advertisements for smartphones, fast food, cars, and soft drinks. Another screen was a towering wall of projected logos. It was overwhelmingly futuristic. I'd lost the strain again, and I stopped to collect myself on a nearby bench. A victory arch formed the entrance to a public park, and there was a statue of a winged angel on top. With all respect to whatever it commemorated, the arch looked totally out of place in all that gleaming modernity. It gave me the impression that the angel had climbed up top to look for a way out. Sitting there, it dawned on me to follow the smell of smoke to the bodega. This proved to be the right call, and I soon arrived at a leveled lot where the steel and concrete frame of a new condo had been assembled. The latticed arm of a crane, its hook dangling limp and oddly subdued, fell against the skyline. Every few feet, the perimeter fence featured placards advertising Skyhold Condominium Corporation, with an airbrushed rendition of an elegant black glass tower surrounded by green spaces. All that greenery was a lot to ask of the sloping pit of earth I saw before me. For now, the units were a darkened hive. From within the condo's foundation, I saw the haze of smoke and falling ash. My pulse quickened. There was a moment's vertigo as I hopped the fence and descended the slope. It made no sense, but the shop was installed in that incomplete frame with a sign that read, "The Commerce Comet," with "From Dusk Till Dawn" written in cursive below. The windows were sooty and obscured. A little bell chimed when I entered the bodega. The interior was dark and hazy and meat locker cold. Ash fell endlessly, as it had done since the day the shop burned down. Piles of heat-warped shelving filled the space. Those units that hadn't collapsed were dense with charred product. An eerie glow shone from the freezers at the back of the store. At the front counter was a blackened metallic shutter with soot-clouded plexiglass panes on either side. This was nothing like the photos I'd seen of a long open counter packed with gum and mints and lottery tickets. The shutter was closed. There was a little slot that the clerk could pull open, which made me think of a subway toll booth. I caught a blur of movement behind the plexiglass shield, and I realized something had been peering out at me. I croaked out a greeting, my mouth gone horribly dry. I knew I should be bold, but I couldn't make my legs work. My heartbeat thudded in my ears. I drew a shuddering breath. My hand came out of my pocket. Someone weaker might have faltered. You need to be strong. If you feel disgust, swallow it down. If you feel lightheaded, push through. I clenched my fists and let the barbs sink in. Blood beaded on my fingertips and hit the floor in a soft patter. And with this bloodletting, bitter memories rose in me. 100 hurts and slights. I saw myself as a child, blonde, slight, serious, dragging the bow across the violin I'd rescued from Grandpa's farmhouse when they put the lot up for sale. I'd been determined to teach myself. If they wouldn't get me lessons. As I grew, the dream only grew more refined. First violin in a world-class orchestra, a life in music, the admiration of people who mattered. But I was sick with the knowledge that true talent goes unrecognized. It's all a popularity contest, and I've never been good with those little social graces. Even as a girl, I lacked the right clothes, the brands, the makeup. I was the empress of third-rate music programs, an obvious prodigy. My instructors made it clear to my parents that I needed more of a challenge, but they couldn't afford to keep up. If I'd left matters up to them, they'd have let me plod along in an unremarkable existence, as my sisters undoubtedly will. I knew from a young age that I'd have to rely on myself if I wanted to get anywhere in life. The violin was my leverage. I put in at least 4 hours a day since the age of 7. With the edge the Addies gave me, I was doing 6 hours easy. No one ever had to force me to practice. I made myself this way. That's what bothers me about Clara. Such a nice person, ready to make time for anyone at all. I bet she'll be a great mom. Clara, with her pep talks and special handshakes, one for every person in our year. The one time she extended her hand to me, I glared daggers. I wish I could lend you my ears to hear her play. She botches phrasing, slouches in her seat. First chair, concert master, it's embarrassing. Paolo's an idiot. Oh, Clara, you play with heightened feeling, as if I don't. All of this simmered as I moved towards the gate. I unwound the wire from my fist as I went. The slot opened, and I set down the $2 silver. There they stayed, anointed and useless, and for the first time, I feared my offering would be rejected. The presence behind the counter radiated waves of cold. I pictured it as a shadowy blur. I pictured it flowing through the grate, towering over me. I surely flinched when the blackened hand finally appeared at the slot to collect the coins. It was a woman's hand, long-figured, once delicate. The flesh, if it was flesh, was charred, the nails broken and partially melted. She pushed something back through the slot, a package wrapped in kitschy butcher's paper. This happened so abruptly that I didn't understand what I was looking at. A huge, beaming anime face with coins for eyes was emblazoned in the center of the package, crowded with cutesy, emojified livestock faces. Happy Deli was splashed below. As a vegetarian, the overall effect was offensive. I made no move to touch the thing. What is this? I asked. A ragged hum started behind me. Startled, I realized seconds later that it was the sound of the freezer kicking in. Is this a joke? I demanded. The hum deepened, became an unstable growl. I felt that overwhelming polar presence behind the gate, and my breath began to spill out in vapors. I stood firm, shivering, massaging my wounded hand. Not touching that, I said. The attendant flowed back to the plexiglass window. Although the blank white face was smear, I knew her eyes were on me, and I could feel her hatred. A resounding crack made me flinch as the attendant slammed her face into that smudged pane. Though blurred, it was twisted, and somehow it turned black. The jaw contorted into a permanent scream. The face slid lower with a horrid squelch, then slammed into the glass again. An awful shriek filled the space. I thought hard about the stories of the attendant's wrath, and I grabbed the waxy parcel and scampered back out into the street. If you'd like to know how a wax parcel can change your life, the story is freely available online. Thank you, everyone.